EA Sports just put out a small update for College Football 25 that fixed a few key issues. Now, I'm going to go over what was fixed in this update. I'm going to also give you some more info on what's to come, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the things that's going on in the game right now that I think people are a little confused about. There's certain things happening in the game that some people think are bugs or an issue to be fixed when they're actually intentional, whereas there are some other actual real bugs in the game that are being worked on. So we're going to cover all of that just to make sure everybody knows what's going on. Now, if you're new to the channel and you don't want to miss out on any of the future updates for this game, as it's going to have a bunch of major updates and added stuff coming soon, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you don't miss any of these videos. Gonna be giving away some extra copies of the game that I got to subscribers, so all you gotta do is subscribe and comment your system below and I'll reach out. Also, I want to throw out there that I am in an online dynasty and I stream my games on Twitch, so if you want to check out the games when I go live, I'll drop the link in the description below. So let's talk about what they addressed today. Now, keep in mind, this is not the big title update that we're waiting for. This isn't the first big title update. If you remember, a couple days ago, I did a video on the 10 things that are going to be updated in the game. And also last week, I did a video where EA talked about things that they're working on for the first big title update. This is not that update. That is probably coming in another week or two. This is a smaller title update, something that they were able to get out a little quicker to address a few key issues. But the bigger update that's going to come once every month is going to address a lot more stuff and also add things to the game, which is going to be much bigger than what we got today. But let's go over what they did today. It says this morning we distributed a smaller title update which is designed to address some issues that have been affecting your gameplay experience. A larger title update will be coming in the near future, which will receive a full campus huddle detailing all of the updates coming to each portion of the game. So like I said, the title update is going to address modes, gameplay, it's going to address everything, whereas this is just a small gameplay update, which is still good because there's some important things here that they needed to fix. They fixed the away team not being able to change offensive audibles and online head-to-head. That was super annoying. Glad they got that fixed. They reduced the frequency of roughing the kicker from AI players on field goals. Another very annoying issue. It was to the point where I was not even calling field goal block anymore because it happened so often, and then it would extend drives. They fixed a rare issue of the snap going behind the quarterback, and they also did stability and server improvements. Now, for those of you that have been around my channel for Madden, we know that every single update, they throw that stability and server improvements in there. We don't 100% know what it means. We know obviously what server improvements are. We don't know what stability improvements mean. We always assume that's server related stuff, but it's kind of a vague term that they just throw in there. We'll take all the stability we can get in these games, but we don't really quite know what it means. Now, for those of you asking in the comment section, what about these dynasty issues? What about some of the road to glory issues? All of that stuff is being looked at, and a lot of it will be addressed in that first big title update. Some of it might be addressed in the second title update. We don't know what's being addressed first, but we do know that they're aware of all of those things. They're working on them, and a good amount of them will be addressed very shortly in that next big title update, which, like I said, will be a week, maybe 2 weeks from now at the most. Now, really quickly, before we continue with the rest of the video, I do want to mention that we are still sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. If you like sports and you like winning money, then you've got to be on Underdog Fantasy playing their pick'em game. Basically, all you have to do is pick higher or lower on a wide variety of player stats, and if you hit, you can win some good money. But the best part about Underdog Fantasy is they'll give you a free play at sign up, and they'll give you some bonus cash to play with. So if you sign up right now during WNBA nights, they'll give you a player like Caitlin Clark to get a single point. Or if it's an MLB night, they'll give you a player like Shohei Ohtani to get a plate appearance. Basically, a free play to help you out. And with NFL and college season coming up soon, there's going to be a ton of specials going on for that you're not going to want to miss too. And if you sign up using my code RAY, R-A-Y, they'll also give you up to $250 in bonus cash to start out with, and you just can't beat that. So let's talk about a few other things that are going on with the game that I'm seeing a lot of people every day in my comments section, every day on Twitter, complaining about that are intentional. These things are not bugs. One of these main things is creating players. Look, we knew well before this game came out that we were not going to be able to create players outside of Road to Glory. We also knew that we weren't going to be able to create prospects. This was very well documented. We knew this was one of the things that we had to kind of sacrifice in order to get the game back, because the whole reason the game went away 11 years ago is because they got sued. Now, I'll give you this. I don't fully understand what's legal and what's not when it comes to customization, because obviously we can create players in other games. I can put Travis Hunter in Madden right now if I want to, but I think part of the reason that's a little bit more of a gray area is because Travis Hunter doesn't currently exist in the NFL. I can put him on the Steelers, and that's not really Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter plays for Colorado. But then you might ask, well, why can't we export players from college to Madden then? Well, that's a little different because EA is then assisting you in saying, here, you can literally do this. It's a feature. You could put Travis Hunter, the actual Travis Hunter, over to Madden, and we don't have his rights there yet because he's not signed to the NFLPA. That doesn't happen until they're drafted. Whereas if you go create him in Madden, that's kind of something you're doing on your own. They're not really assisting you in taking a player from that game to this other game where they don't have his rights. But you still might be asking, well, how can we create him over there, but we can't just create him here? EA's not assisting us in creating him. Well, if we create a player that opted out in this game and put him on his real team, then it would literally be recreating his entire likeness. So I think that kind of has something to do with it. But also just another thing to keep in mind, when it comes to this game, no other game has a target on its back like this game. We don't also know what EA agreed to in order to do these NIL deals with players. Part of the agreement might have been that we will not let players actually create anybody, so that if you choose to not opt in, your likeness will be protected. Again, could EA pull this off and be okay? Maybe, probably, but there probably are going to be a little overprotective with this game because of what happened last time. People are looking for any reason possible to throw lawsuits at EA over this game. It has a target on its back, and so we knew coming into this we were not going to be able to create players in this game because they don't want people creating players that chose to not opt in. They also don't want players creating future high-name prospects that are seniors in high school right now that have no choice to opt into the game yet. That's something they have to steer clear of in order for this game to exist right now. Maybe that will change someday, but we knew going into this that that was not going to be a thing. So seeing people kind of complain about it now or think that it's an issue or an oversight, it's not. It's intentional, and we know why. And even with that aside, you can still create players to some extent in Team Builder. You can change names, numbers, and all that stuff there. We can sit here and assume all day if they could get away with this, that, or the third, but what we don't know is what was actually agreed upon in order to get this NIL deal in place. In order to make the players feel protected, they may have had to promise that if you don't opt in, we will protect your likeness. And if that's what we have to sacrifice for the game to exist, I'm okay with that. So basically what I'm trying to say here is your options were just NCAA 14 forever or a new game that had some limitations. But you're not really in any different boat than you were a year ago. You can still play 14. So I'd rather have the new game with some limitations because it still doesn't change the fact that 14 exists. I can still go play 14 if I want to. But I'd rather have 14 and an updated game that I can enjoy other aspects of than to just still have only 14 forever, if that makes sense. Another thing that people think is a bug or an issue but is actually intentional is the fact that you can't change your playbooks in the Road to the College Football Playoff mode. It's been said multiple times, this is an intentional part of the mode. They want you to use the playbook of the team you pick in that mode. They think it makes it more unique, it makes it more challenging, and it also makes it look more accurate because you would never see Alabama running the flex bone. Now, is it something I agree with? No, I'd like to be able to change my playbook because I love that mode. However, I don't mind it how it is. I do think it makes it challenging. I think it does make it more interesting. If I had a vote, I would vote to let people change the playbooks, and maybe they will change that eventually if enough people don't like it, but it's not a bug and it's not an oversight. It's an intentional part of the mode. Now, in terms of not being able to change your uniform in that mode, that I don't know. That could be something that was missed because that seems silly. So that probably will get changed at some point, but the playbook thing as of right now is intentional, and that'll only get changed if they just decide that it's the right move for the people because enough people complained about it. But on the other side, there's a lot of people that want it to stay that way as well because they think it's more realistic. So that's kind of a toss-up whether or not they're going to change it. Another thing that's not really so much of an issue and more of an intentional thing is the way the defense plays. Now, don't get me wrong, there's parts about the defense that will be adjusted. I do think they need to tune things like pursuit and stuff like that, but in terms of defense being not as good as offenses and it being more of an offensive game, that's a design decision. They wanted this to be an offensive game because college football in real life is a very offensive game. Even the pursuit to some degree. The thing that's bad about the pursuit is I feel like even the really good players still don't take the best pursuit, but it's definitely intentional that the lower tier players are not going to pursue as well because they don't do that in real life. That is actually intentional, but I do think overall the pursuit still needs work because even good players too often take very bad pursuit angles, and I think that is where it's thrown off. But the defense in this game being tough, the defense in this game feeling like it's outmatched by the offense a lot is an intentional design decision of the game. Whereas when you play a Madden game, it definitely feels a little bit more balanced because the NFL is a little bit more balanced. Now again, that doesn't mean that I agree with every design decision or I think that they shouldn't buff the defense a little bit. I do think they should do that. I'm just letting you know that not everything is necessarily a bug or an oversight or an issue. Some of these things are actual intentional design decisions, and depending on how the community reacts to it, they can go in these updates and adjust things if people don't like it. Now, if you missed the previous video and you want to know about the 10 big things that they're going to be updating or adding to the game throughout the year, make sure to check out this video right here on the screen.